Well, this is weird. Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark. Uh, we remember how to fucking do this? Hi, Russ.
I think I can remember how to talk about wrestling. It's been about 3 weeks or so. A
Well,
lot of delays and a lot of postponements, and COVID in the house, and people getting sick. And thank God that's all over with now.
well, I don't ever foresee us disappearing for 3 weeks and going dark ever again. Uh, but I just I that was such a weird string of 3 weeks that
Just one thing after another.
we couldn't catch a break. Anyway, we're back.
Yes, and I'm glad to be back.
Anyway, Russ, let's talk about pro wrestling. Uh,
Yeah,
we're
like going
not going to
on.
try to cover everything that happened
No,
while we were gone. That's just not gonna work.
right.
Uh, so let's start with our favorite topic, perhaps on this show: the Pepsi Fill update of the week.
Okay.
While we were gone, old Philly boy was turned down by not only WWE but also attempting to return to AEW again.
Right. And I understand that he turned down an offer to make an appearance for TNA.
No, he didn't.
He did not. That's just a rumor.
He was at their show in Chicago.
Oh, he was there. Okay.
He
See
didn't
that
appear.
he likes to show up and hang out.
He wasn't on TV or anything, but he was
Okay.
there.
All right.
The show where they announced that the TNA branding will return. Um, I don't,
Interesting.
I don't know if this is a marketing thing
I don't know
or
either because why would you have I thought that the changing it from TNA to Impact was at least in part due to the fact that advertisers
no.
were
Apparently,
were
according to
not
according to Scott Demore, which believe that however
okay.
much you will.
Yep,
Most of the advertisers actually kind of preferred TNA,
they do. All right.
which got me on that one.
Total nonstop action.
Yeah, it totally doesn't mean tits and ass or anything.
TNA, that's what that whole idea, I believe that was a Vince Russo idea.
Yep, that's Vinny Rue's legacy right there.
Remember in the very, very early days of TNA, for the first several months, they had like they weren't strippers, but they were like go-go girls dancing, dancing all the time. They had two or three of them. Then after a while, they just had one. Must have been budget cuts. And then after a while, they had none.
It was a very
But
strange TV show.
but you had it was an odd promotion back then. You had all sorts of stuff. You had midgets jerking off in trash cans. You had the Johnsons, and I mean all kinds of
I
really
wonder
bad, embarrassing stuff.
I wonder if we're gonna get a I wonder if we're gonna get a midget jerking off in a trash can on the first episode of the return of TNA.
Well, this
Uh
time around, they'll have to have two midgets
where are they gonna get the
masturbating in a trash can,
uh,
because before it was just one. You can't just have one midget.
gotta go big or go home.
That's right. But it will be interesting to see. Scott Demore, I don't know how credible he is. He's
I
one
mean,
of
he's
those
the
guys
boss
that
over
every
there.
every time I hear him talking, I assume that he's working me,
He's the boss over there, so
which is actually a safe bet. Anytime you hear anybody in the wrestling business talk, assume you're being worked.
yep.
Even in shoot
Always
interviews, you're being worked sometimes.
I mean, unless it's Kevin Nash stoned on his podcast, I just assume we're getting worked, and even then, most of the time you're getting worked.
What's that about Kevin Nash?
He has a podcast where he gets stoned with Sean Oliver. It's very funny.
Oh, okay. Well,
Uh,
he could probably get it legally.
yeah, he can. He lives in Florida. Everything's legal down there, or at least if it's not legal, it's only minorly discouraged. Uh,
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, Russ. Let's talk about Raw. I
Monday Night
thought this
Raw.
show sucked.
Well, I know where they're going, and I know what we're leading to. I just don't like the journey that much. You know what I mean?
Okay, here's what. Let's just talk about everything as kind of a whole here. McIntyre, Drew, and Seth. I've really enjoyed the build for because they're
Yes.
clearly going to turn Drew heel. That is
Right.
clearly the idea here, and I'm all for that.
Me too.
And he is
Overdue.
and he's probably, I would have to guess, going to win the title. Because Seth, his back is so fucked. I don't see how he keeps the title much longer.
Yeah.
And we'll find out Saturday exactly what's going to happen there. But here's the thing, and we are going to cover Crown Jewel. That show will probably be up sometime
That'll be Saturday afternoon, this coming
Saturday night, I
Saturday.
would assume, or Sunday morning, um, depending on editing time and everything. But I just, I don't know, man. I can't see Seth beating Drew right now. But here's the thing, I could see them fucking this up too, where Drew wins the title and then they have Priest cash in right away.
That could happen too.
And you don't want to have Drew lose, but you also don't want to beat Priest on his cash in. I mean, because I want Priest to win when he cashes in. Like
I do too.
when he cashes in. So there's a world where Seth wins and just gets cashed in on,
Yeah.
and Drew joins the Judgment Day for as weird as I think that would be.
Right. Judgment Day.
Are the
You,
hottest thing on Raw.
what's that?
They're the hottest thing on Raw. They're the only thing
Oh,
Raw's
yeah.
got going.
Right.
Those four are, and JD are like the five people keeping Raw afloat all in one group. Them and Cody and Jay. I mean, God bless Cody Rhodes. That man is really just trying to save Raw every week.
Yeah.
You ever notice that about Cody? That guy just goes out there and just does the best thing on the show sometimes.
He sure does.
Just because
Probably
he's
the
like,
best
holy
talker.
fuck, this show sucks. I need to do something here.
Usually the best talker. I still think it's interesting and it's consistent week to week. Everybody in Judgment Day gets booed, except as soon as Rhea talks, she gets cheered. The fans love her and they hate everyone that's following her. So,
All right, let's talk about this Raw show in a little bit of congruent order here. So, I watched it on Hulu and I went back and figured out what I missed. Um, we open with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. They have just recaptured the undisputed
right.
tag title, and they are the most douchey heels you've ever seen in your life. Just standing there laughing about how they cheated and won and blah 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 blah. And then here comes Cody Rhodes,
Enter Cody.
who, as usual, just gets a massive pop. Uh, when was the last time Cody didn't get like one of the biggest pops on the show?
Yeah, he always does. Right.
And you know, say what you want about Saudi Arabia, but I don't know if you remember the last time they were there. Uh, that place fucking loves him.
Yeah.
So he is going to get cheered very loudly Saturday.
Right. I bet he is. But you remember what happened though? I think it was, didn't he gets jumped from behind by Jay? Or I know that was Dom. Dominic Dominic was going off on Cody, and then Jay sneaks up behind him, blasts Dominic.
Well, this whole promo ends, and it ends up setting up Priest versus Rhodes. This ends in a giant fucking brawl.
Right.
Cody gets the absolute shit kicked out of him here.
Right.
Because McDonough chop blocks him, and then Cody goes through a table. Cody
Then we had everybody running down there. I see Shane Helms was one of the office guys that was there on camera. One of the agents running down there.
Yeah, I think they sent you down there too. They sent everybody.
Sean Devar, Davari.
Yeah.
I think one of the Davari brothers is still around there too.
Oh, the new Raw GM, Adam Pierce. So, what do you think of Nick Aldis just kind of being in charge of SmackDown? Two former NWA guys just kind of running Raw and SmackDown
Yeah,
right now,
I
casually.
like the addition of Nick Aldis. I think it's good that they
He's
have a little
absolutely
bit
gonna
of
wrestle at some point, right?
what's that?
He's gonna wrestle at some point, right?
I hope so. I
I
hope
would,
so.
and I understand from like his perspective of he's probably getting paid more money not to than he would to wrestle, and it's a whole lot less work being the GM.
Is his
Granted,
wife still with Impact? You know,
yeah,
Mickey
his wife
James
is still with Impact.
still active.
Yeah. So here's what's going on with Nick Aldis. Here's what I think they're gonna do. I think they're either going to finally talk Adam Pearce into doing one fucking match because the guy's a fucking great worker. And they'll have him do it with Nick because those two, I believe, have wrestled before, maybe not. Um, no, I don't think they ever overlapped, but maybe I'm trying to remember. But what they're clearly, I think, going to do is either have Aldis wrestle Pierce or have Aldis wrestle someone with Pierce in their corner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know who that would be. I mean, the obvious choice would have been Cameron Grimes, but Cameron Grimes is on SmackDown. It
Right.
would probably have to be somebody from Raw. Who the hell is going to wrestle for Pierce on Raw? I don't know. Jay maybe. That's kind
Yeah.
of the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Could be.
Champa, as weird as that would be, I I don't know. But here's the thing: Aldis is going to wrestle at some point. Probably WrestleMania would be my guess, and I would assume he's gonna put somebody over. But I don't know.
That'd be great.
Anyway, we get to a thing that they cut out of the Hulu version, which was Kofi and Xavier against Gable and
Correct. New
Otis.
Day is not winning much here, leader, but lately, but they did win this time.
I heard that I didn't miss
Grateful.
much with this match.
What's that?
I heard that I didn't miss much with this one.
It was all right. It was just, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. It was just there.
We
I knew
had
after that though, we got a really weird little vignette from the Viking warriors with all their spooky Viking
this
god
is like
stuff.
halfway through the show on the Hulu version.
Okay,
It is
yeah, it was
so
it was right after this originally. It's just all this weird stuff with the Viking gods and all. I don't know. They got like Thor and Odin and Loki fighting for them, I guess.
well, good for them. Anyway, we got Jackie Redmond interviewing Becky Lynch.
Right.
I still think Jackie Redmond is very good at her job.
I think
Uh,
so too. Doing just fine.
for as new as she is. She's not new in terms of broadcasting. She's just new to the wrestling business, but she's doing a good job. Uh, she interviews Becky, and they talk about Indy Hartwell and then her match with Lyra Valkyrie.
Right. That was a title defense. Becky retains,
Yep,
set up to defend against not Valkyria.
Valkyria.
Valkyria. See,
And then we get a very interesting Rhea Ripley Seth Rollins confrontation,
yeah,
and it's gonna go somewhere. But I saw a lot of people online saying they want Seth to join the Judgment Day, and I'm like, okay, that'd be cool, but it's never gonna fucking happen. Uh,
no, I don't really think the Judgment Day needs any new members right now. I think they're doing just fine.
well, I think Drew would be fine. Like if they turn Drew heel, I think that would be fine. If they're gonna kick Priest out, which I think is definitely what they're gonna do. Because I think what I could see happening is like Drew wins with the Judgment Day's help on Saturday, and then Priest tries to cash in. He
Oh yeah.
claymores him, and then like talks Rhea into basically booting Priest for him,
Right.
and then you turn Priest babyface. That's the only way I see Drew and the Judgment Day working. But do you boot
See.
Priest out of that group, who is one of the hotter talents in it? I mean,
Well, if they want to turn to babyface or something like that, you need to kind of separate them off, you know. But then Rhea also, she comes out and cuts a promo on her match for Saturday. What's this? The Fatal Five Way
yeah,
contract
that was
sign.
later, but yes. But I do want to touch on one thing she said here, that she said you could be like Roman Reigns to Seth Rollins, and Seth very angrily said, if there's one thing I don't want to be, it's like Roman Reigns.
Yes,
We had Becky Lynch versus Indy Hartwell.
right.
This
But
was a shockingly good match.
it was I was surprised, you know.
I was like, holy shit.
That's
Indy Hartwell's having a long match on Raw, and it's actually good. Oh my God.
right. Becky Lynch is looking pretty good. I mean, I don't know.
Becky always has
Since
good matches,
she came back, she looks like she weighs about 80 pounds. You know, she looks really, really small.
but
Maybe that's just me.
she's not had a bad match in a long time.
Right.
Uh, I mean, for a while there, they weren't having her wrestle much, and people were complaining about that. It's like,
I just wish she'd smile once in a while. She always looks so damn grim.
I was surprised. My surprise of this was how much offense Hartwell got. I
Yeah.
was like,
I
are
was
they gonna have
surprised too.
Indy
Yeah.
win this
Give her
fucking
quite a
title
bit.
right now?
This was a pretty good match, you know.
There was a point where with as much offense as Hartwell was getting, I was like, she's not gonna win, is she? I was
Yeah.
like,
You almost think so.
because the way they were setting this match up, like it would not have been unbelievable if Hartwell just would have won.
Right.
You wouldn't have been like, what? That didn't make any sense. You'd have been like, oh,
I think they like having the Becky Lynch on Tuesday night.
it's a ratings draw.
It is a ratings draw. And they're doing pretty good. They're doing better numbers on NXT. I mean, WWE still draws more to NXT on Tuesday night than AEW is for Dynamite on Wednesday. A
No,
little
they
bit higher
don't.
numbers.
No, they don't.
You don't think
Maybe
so?
maybe more recently, yes, but no, not in general. I mean, Sean's doing a great job down
Yeah,
there.
I mean here just recently.
Just recently, yeah, because WWE's been actually treating NXT like it matters now.
It's like they've boosted their backing of NXT. They get some bigger names there.
Well, let's jump into some more news that we missed here. So
Yeah.
while we were gone, it came out that Ari Emanuel has essentially booted Vince McMahon from the company.
Yes.
Vince essentially does not exist. No creative power. Ari Emanuel screwed Vince. Literally.
Yep. Literally.
I think, okay, me and Devlin were talking about this. I think he had a plan to do this eventually. Like just get Vince out. But I don't think he planned on doing it this soon. I think what sped it up was Vince got raided by the feds.
Yes. That kind of changed the whole complexion of this business deal.
And they didn't know why, and we don't know why. I'm sure they know now,
Yeah.
but we don't know why. It doesn't really matter. He got raided by the feds. Period. End of story. You don't need to know why. You just need to
Right.
know it happened. And it hurt their stock price.
Most of the time when the federal authorities raid somebody like that, I'm not going to say all the time, but most of the time they have a pretty good reason. They've got
And
some evidence.
and Ari Emanuel went out and said publicly part of the reason the TKO stocks aren't as high as they thought it was going to be is because of Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
By the way, for as mediocre as I thought this Raw show was, uh, the booking is so much better. It's not even close. I just Raw as a general principle is not a good show.
Yeah.
Like
That's right. And it's still, even when it's pretty good, it's still 3 hours. So that's,
Russ, you just need to start watching it on Hulu. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. Because like I didn't love this show, but I definitely liked it a lot more watching it on Hulu than I think I would have watching the 3 hour one.
yeah, there was a big stink about WWE being off Hulu, but that was only like for like a week.
It wasn't even a week, it was like 2 days.
Yeah. And then somebody said, oh, it's just a bunch of hoopla. This is just a normal contractual thing. It happens all the time. No biggie.
Yeah, Hulu will never let them leave. WWE on Hulu is a big draw. But so what do you agree with me generally that even when Raw is kind of meh now, it's a lot better than it was when Vince was.
Yes. We're still getting better WWE programming than when we're, yeah. There was a long period of time where it was virtually unwatchable.
Raw now, even when it's bad, is like you can still watch the show and have fun to some
Yeah.
great level.
And that's
Because,
been that turnaround has happened within the last year or so, you
well,
know?
because Triple H has. And say what you want about Triple H. Oh, he married Stephanie, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a fuck. This guy's a fucking wrestling genius.
Yeah.
This guy knows what the fuck he's doing. And everybody's like, oh, he shit talks AEW.
So there's the competition. So Tony Khan shit talks WWE. That's what you do. Of course, there is a small group of people out there that are so it's almost like a cult like devotion to AEW to where
It's the same for
they
WWE,
can't
though,
stand to
dude.
hear AEW be criticized.
But the WWE has the same kind of people.
Yeah, they do. You got and I like wrestling. I've never been one. Well, which side do you pick in the Monday Night Wars? Well, I always watch both Raw and Nitro.
I will say, I think the right side won there, but
Huh?
that's
Shoot,
just
I even watched Thunder.
how are you not in serious psychological therapy after that? Anyway,
Well, how do you know I'm not?
are you doing this show from a psych ward?
Might be.
Doing the show, is that why you have the background? Because you're doing the show from a padded room?
That's right. That's right.
Uh, anyway, so I don't know. I don't think I think Triple H has that kind of Vince thing in him where he kind of just wants to crush AEW,
Yeah. Which
which
I think AEW is going to be around for a while because even if they're losing money overall, believe me, Tony
Tony's got
Khan
it.
can afford to lose money for many, 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 many years and still keep that company going.
And I think we saw it this past August with the Wembley show. When they need to run a big show and sell out a stadium,
Yeah.
they can.
Like it or not, whether you like AEW or AEW or not, that was a history making show. Definitely.
When they need to run a big show, they can. And
Yeah.
say what you want about All In and the disaster that spawned from that ultimately led to the termination of Pepsi Phil.
Correct.
Ah,
We did have a couple more matches here on Raw. Did you see Giovanni
I want to
versus
talk about that.
Johnny?
I want to talk about that contract signing, that women's world title.
Oh, that's right. We skipped over that. The five or the four challengers: Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Shayna Baszler,
And Zoe
and
Stark.
Zoe Stark.
I would be okay with Rhea, Raquel, Shayna, and Zoe all winning this match. For the love of fucking all that is holy and good in this world, if Nia wins this fucking match,
I don't know, man. I think there would be a lot of backlash from the fans.
if Nia, okay. Can I say this about Nia? She's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
She still sucks. Big time. Do I understand why they wanted to bring her back? Yes. Because she's big, she's intimidating, she's somebody you can throw in there with Rhea and
I
have
think
it be believable.
the her natural personality, her demeanor, the way she comes across on the mic, she seems to be a natural heel. Because just when she's talking in her normal voice, it sounds like she's pissed off about something.
Well, they get all four out there, and Pierce says that Rhea Ripley would not be out there because she's the one causing all the trouble around here.
Supposedly, yeah.
And Wade Barrett
That's
made a
why
funny
he's
comment about notice how he didn't even bother getting a table set up.
yeah.
Because he didn't.
But Rhea was impatient. She wanted to get something off her chest, by God.
And the crowd was chanting, "We want mommy."
Yeah, there you go.
I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
I mean, it's like if they want to keep the crowd happy, they better have Rhea Ripley retaining the title.
They better have
Like I
Rhea Ripley in like every fucking
said, I would
segment.
be okay with Shayna or Zoe or Raquel winning. I do not want to see Nia Jax getting a title. I think that it's interesting. They're getting more bigger women. They have a lot of lighter weight women wrestlers, but now you've got Rhea Ripley, who's bigger. You've got Raquel
Shayna.
Rodriguez, who's a little bigger and stronger. They're
Shayna.
bringing in Jade Cargill. They've got Nia. They've got some big, strong women. And it would make sense for me for that they should be dominating the division.
I mean, here's the thing. I think Rhea's keeping the title to Mania because I think the big money match now is Rhea and Becky. That is clearly the money match here is Rhea and Becky.
Right.
I mean, they've kept them apart for a reason, I think. And I think that's the reason Becky has that NXT title right now is because they've got her in stall until Mania. And they've got to keep her on TV.
Right.
Because they're not just going to take Becky out.
And they've got several shows yet to get through. We got Crown Royal and we got Survivor Series. And is there one in December this year? Or did we go right on to the Rumble?
We're right on to the Rumble, I think.
In January.
I think they might do that Starrcade show again, but I don't know. Just because they haven't announced anything for December. But I kind of like them not doing anything in December just because that month is so fucked anyway. Because the last 2 weeks is just holiday after holiday.
Right.
You're not going to get anything over there. You basically would have to build a show in 2 weeks, and you're just not going to do it. Although, with these shows only having 5 to 6 matches recently, maybe they could just throw something together in 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah, they could. Right.
Because they're only doing 5-match cards now, so it's like, yeah, you could probably fling something together at this point.
Well, the inevitable brawl broke out there, and
I actually thought this brawl was really good.
it ended with Nia Jax laying out Raquel Rodriguez with version of a Samoan drop.
I know Zoe's smaller, but holy shit, she's strong. I
She
mean, she's
is.
throwing
She's
security
tough.
guards around like they're fucking play toys.
That's right. I thought these guys are gonna get their asses whipped by some girls here.
I mean, Rhea kicks everybody's ass anyway.
Right.
And, if her and Dom ever split, I really could see her just absolutely murdering him. Like,
Oh,
just killing him.
that'd be brutal. The crowd would love it. They would eat that right up.
And she's going to drop him on his head.
Yeah.
Um, Gargano versus Vinci. This was so short.
Very short. But you know, Tommaso Ciampa is
So good to
back.
see DIY like actually back.
Right. Right. Then we get a little one. Then we'll get one of Shinsuke Nakamura's promos. This time on rookie, his promos are all the same, boring to me
I thought
personally.
this one was a lot better. I think they're getting better, but then we get the Logan Paul segment.
Yep.
I thought this was funny. I don't know how to describe this Logan Paul bit other than this was just kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, he's I think his natural personality is what you'd call a heel.
He's what you'd call an asshole or a
Yeah, he
douchebag.
doesn't have trouble sounding that way because I think it's the way he is.
Uh,
Yeah, and the guy's a good worker. I mean, he can get heat on that mic. He really can.
well, he's facing Rey Mysterio on Saturday, and
Then they wrestled at was it WrestleMania
they had
when
a
they
tag
last?
match. It was him and it was Logan and Miz against Dominic and Ray because
That's right.
Dominic wasn't the biggest heel in the company yet.
Yep, I remember that now. That seems like a million years ago now, doesn't it?
Well, because what you got to remember is they hadn't even unified the titles yet. Like they wouldn't
Right,
unify the titles until the next night
right.
because that was night one of that Mania. That that was the year Cody came back too. That was the show where Cody came back.
Correct, correct.
That
Yeah.
was only last year. That
Wow.
feels like 10 years ago. Anyway, Dominic got booed like even more than usual here. This crowd just they don't like Dominic at all.
Right,
And he is just getting booed. You can't hear a word he's fucking saying.
right.
Even on the Hulu version that is edited, like,
It's got nuclear heat, and boy, that's a good thing if you use it right.
and then they get Samantha Irvin involved here because of the Ricochet feud. And she kind of reluctantly gets in the ring. And then Ricochet comes out and sends the two cowardly heels off a running. And Ricochet's out there defending his fiance.
Correct.
And he
Yes.
was checking on Samantha like they hit her, which they didn't. Uh we had the women's tag title match, Chelsea and Piper against Natalia and Nikki.
Yeah, this was all right, but I don't know what they're doing with Nikki Cross. He's like walking around in a state, supposedly, like in a catatonic state. I don't know what they're doing with her.
I don't know.
I always felt like she's been underused or used incorrectly. She's not a bad worker at all.
I don't
But
know when they've mind fucked me into kind of not caring. Anyway,
exactly, that's the problem. It's been done so many times. Anyway, this was an easy,
win for Chelsea and Piper.
yeah, for Chelsea and Piper.
Piper's such a good worker, and they're just not using her right. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm starting to like her more and more, because
she's always been great. We had a Drew McIntyre Jey Uso segment.
Yes.
These two are never going to get along.
Right.
Uh, we had Miz, who I don't remember the last thing Miz did on television. Um,
Yeah, it's been a while.
Maybe because I block him out of my head. Anyway,
Yes, yes. Pestering Adam Pierce.
he's like, "Why am I not on TV?" I'm like, "Hey, Mike, you realize he's not actually in charge, right?" I wanted to tell him that. I was like, "Hey, bud, uh, hate to tell you this, Adam Pierce is not actually your boss. Uh, you should talk to Hunter."
Right.
Then we had Drew McIntyre against Sami Zayn. This was a very good TV match.
Yes, it was.
But then again, look at the two guys in the ring.
Wins by pinfall with the Claymore. And yeah, very well done.
With a distraction from Rhea.
Right.
Uh,
See, yeah, they're messing with Drew. There's something going
I
on.
think Drew might join the Judgment Day. I think that's a very good possibility. And
Yep.
then Drew wins, and
Yeah. And then we get a very short match. Tozawa versus Bronson Reed.
well, before that, we had the Aldis thing where he was talking to the two most underused females on this entire
Oh,
fucking show.
yeah. Katana and Caden.
Two of the most talented women on this show that just don't get used.
No, I don't know much anything about them.
They're excessively talented. They're both incredible in the ring. Katana especially. And they just don't get used.
Right. Nick Aldis, Adam Pierce rolls up and says, "Why are you talking to my wrestlers?"
And then Aldis is like, you know what? I'll see myself out. And then Nikki Cross walks by, and this was so funny. And Pierce just mutters to himself,
Yeah.
I need a drink.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. Probably need a couple.
Adam Pierce in this authority role is so fucking good.
Yeah, he's funny. He's funny.
And I don't know who writes his shit, but that guy should get a raise.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job with him.
And then we had Reed versus Tozawa, as you said. Bronson wins.
That was a very, very brutal match, which was exactly what we expected.
One thing I wrote down here, Game 7 of the ALCS was going on during this episode of Raw, and they were in Texas, and there were very loud "Let's go Rangers, Astros suck" chants going on.
Yep.
In other words, they didn't care about this match.
Right. Yeah. Well, then we eventually here. Well, let's see.
And then we get to the main event.
Right. After we had a little small back there with the Alpha Academy, New Day, and DIY.
Also, they announced that DIY is officially reforming next week to take on Kaiser and Vinci. That'll be technically the day we're recording this. They're going to be in Greenville. That crowd's going to be red fucking hot, especially for DIY.
Oh, yeah.
Raw actually looks pretty good.
And then we get to Damian Priest versus main event, Jey Uso.
Jey Uso is so fucking over.
Right. That's right.
And Priest wins here.
There was hard to believe, but there was outside interference.
Oh, that's so hard to believe. You're right.
You know, Finn Balor and everybody else.
Have you noticed they're heating Priest up again? They're like having him win a lot. They're having him get pins a lot.
Right.
Usually means they're about to cash in, but not always.
Right. Well, then after the match, they're going to get the chairs and they're going to beat up Jay and Cody runs in. He lives down to the ring and even up the odds, and then that's about all.
The ending was
That's
not
about
special.
all. Just a reminder that SmackDown will be on FS1 this week, not on Fox.
And man, did that hurt that show.
I'm sure it did.
Um, I'm
I
kind of
did. I don't usually watch NXT on Tuesday night. However, I did want to follow up on the Becky Lynch match against.
Lila. I didn't see it, but I heard they fucking put on a hell of a
Yeah,
match.
it was good. Yeah, Becky lost the title,
Did she?
and it was a very good match. The only thing I thought that was interesting about NXT, and it's just a matter of taste. The overwhelming majority of the show Tuesday night was women's matches. Almost all women's matches.
Well, because they have so much fucking female talent down there.
They have, yeah. Most these promotions don't have enough, and they've got way too many. They got more than they can really feature that well, but there's a lot of good talent there.
I want to kind of go through this Dynamite show a little faster.
Yeah,
Only
let's
because
do it.
I thought this Dynamite show was bland.
Well, it was all right, but you know something?
What?
Yeah, let's just go through it real quick.
So this show starts with Renee Paquette. God bless her.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's a pro.
This woman trying to save this godforsaken show every week. Can we talk about that? Okay, am I crazy? Tell me if I'm wrong here. But this year, it feels like AEW has just kind of slowly done this creatively. They feel like a sinking ship creatively.
Right. Well, I remember, uh, just as a comparison, not that they're that much alike, but TNA, when they started out, they emphasized newer talent, younger talent. It felt as if this is distinctly different than the WWE. Then as time went on, they began to be dominated by more and more and more by former WWE superstars. I feel like what's happening with AEW, they brought in so many uh, veterans, superstars. It doesn't have the uh, unique feel that it had a couple years ago. And also, and this is really telling, is that it's not really helping out their numbers. Their ratings, what they are doing, it's not helping them.
No, because here's what happens, okay? And ratings wise, this is exactly what happened this week. Everybody turned this show on right at 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern. They did all the MJF stuff in like the first 2-3 segments.
Right.
And then MJF wasn't on the show again.
Right.
And there's one storyline on this show that everybody cares about, and it's MJF.
Right.
They don't care about anything else.
And it's getting to the point where, they've got a lot of, it feels like there's a lot of stories going on at the same time with MJF. You've got about 4 different people gunning for him. And it makes it interesting. That's what they like.
Here's the thing. You could make an argument that him, Kenny, and Moxley, and Danielson, and Edge to a greater extent, are the only ones over enough to change the number.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
well, we had the Diamond Ring match, Juice versus MJF.
Dude, I love Juice Robinson to fucking death.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh my God.
He's awesome.
And
he's very, very entertaining.
And Max wins, of course. He out scumbags him pretty much.
He really is enjoying himself. He looks like he's having fun in the ring. Uh,
Well,
yeah, he won by the Heat Seeker.
and they
Retain
were teasing Omega versus MJF on Collision, which we'll talk about later. I think putting that show on a fucking episode of Collision was a mistake. On an episode of Collision that was going head to head with Game 2 of the World Series, by the way.
right. It would have been nice to maybe try to do that on Wednesday night.
Or, no, or do it on a pay per view. Because here's the thing, you're going head to head, and I know World Series ratings are projected to be down. It doesn't matter. They're still going to kick your ass.
Right. Exactly. Right.
I don't understand these effing wrestling companies. I kind of understand what WWE did last Monday when they were going head to head with Game 7 of the ALCS and knew they were just, they didn't have a chance.
Right.
Now, once the game kind of turned into a blowout, which it did, it was 10-2 by the sixth inning. Maybe people started flipping over. But you still had Monday Night Football going on, so it's like, okay, how much do we really want to try here? And maybe that's part of the problem with Monday is they're going head to head with football all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of feel like they can't do their best shit because if they do, nobody's going to see it.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, the Kenny Omega MJF match went head to head with Game 2 of the World Series in the most unique World Series of the last 10, 15 years. And they they put these two fuckers out there on Collision, and I'm like, Tony, are you trying to fight with Major League Baseball right now? Because you're not gonna win,
Right.
dude.
You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win.
That would be like if me and you tried to go head to head with Major League Baseball. We don't stand a chance.
Wouldn't even try it.
We'd lose.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, MJF beats Juice Robinson, retains the diamond ring again.
Yeah. And in the post-match beatdown, the Kingdom of all people, the group comes down there, even up the odds, and they just kind of stand around and stare at each other.
You know, I really, really hate AEW's post-match bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they do it all the time.
Right. The Acclaim make the same. And there's some weird thing going on with Max Caster and MJF that I don't understand. Do you? What's going on with that?
Bro, listen. AEW, in terms of talent, is maybe the most talented wrestling roster on the planet. But the guy booking it couldn't book his way out of a fucking paper bag effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, bro. It's weird. We had a vignette for Wardlow.
Wardlow's back.
Thank God. But he is not as over as he was when he left, that's for sure.
Right.
Then we had Hook and RVD for some reason on this show again, against John Silver and Alex Reynolds.
Right. The Beaver Boys.
Rob Van Dam, you know what's funny? They have RVD on this show whenever they're in like a part of the country where he's popular. He's significantly looked overweight the last couple times he's been on this show. He looked a lot better here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little heavier.
RVD's on my TV though.
Yeah, he's he's a little heavier than he used to be, but part of that's just getting older.
I don't know. But then we get
Oh
Hook and
boy.
our then we Hook and RVD win.
After commercial, Tony Schiavone is in the ring and he calls out Darby and Sting. And here we go. Man, oh man, I did not see this coming. I did not. I hadn't read anything or heard anything. But let's talk about Tony Khan's present or his gift to Sting.
You're really making me not want to talk. Actually, you're not doing shit. AEW
Yeah,
is really making me not want to talk about AEW right now.
right.
Anyway, so
Yeah. So
this fucking
now,
show, this fucking show, that as if it needed something to make it more geriatric. Uh, I mean, you just had RVD on here for no reason. Now, you're gonna drag poor Tony Schiavone all the way down to the ring.
and here we go.
Now, Tony for his age looks great. Tony
Oh yeah,
looks Tony looks great. Calls Sting and Darby down there. Sting looks great for his age, considering the fact that he's damn near 70. And the fact that his hair hasn't gone gray is a miracle.
yeah.
But and of course Sting retiring at Revolution, blah 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 blah. We all know
There he
that.
comes.
And the big present is Ric Flair
There you go.
with his TNA music.
Exactly. I'm thinking, wow.
I'm thinking,
Ric
oh my god,
Flair.
I'm watching TNA 2010. What the fuck?
I know. I'm like, why are they doing this? I can't see. I don't know how the ratings, I don't know how the fans reacted overall. I mean, I think the crowd reaction
Nobody
was like,
cared.
the crowd reaction was not what you would have expected a few years ago. It was a little underwhelming.
Nobody cared.
The guy can't wrestle. He doesn't have any business wrestling. I know he wants to wrestle again. The
I guess
guy's
he's going to
delusional.
manage Sting and Darby now, which
Yeah. Yeah.
they do set up in this
Right. Here
shit
comes
show of a
Christian Cage,
segment.
Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne. They're going to set up something.
So it's going to be a 6-man at the pay-per-view. Christian, Nick Wayne, and Lucha against Darby, Sting, and a mystery partner.
Which I think will probably end up being Edge.
God help me if it's Ric
I
Flair.
don't think it's going to be Ric Flair.
God help me if it's Ric Flair.
Yeah.
I'll turn that
Edge is
show
the only
off.
one that makes sense there, though. Anyway, it was a very funny joke about Christian Cage. He's got some good ones. He said that seeing Ric Flair in the ring, he thought maybe he was watching Weekend at Bernie's.
I thought I was watching TNA from 2009.
I know.
I was like, oh God, what the fuck? Is Hulk Hogan going to walk out here?
Oh God, that's all we need. Can you imagine that? I'm here in the AEW, brother.
What you gonna do, brother?
Well, what I'm going to do is change the channel. That's what I'm going to do.
When the Elite of Maniacs.
Right.
Ooh, yeah, brother. Oh, that don't work for me. Tony asked.
Anyway, he gets booed for that. He's like, relax, everybody. I know Ric Flair is not really dead. And I also know there's no God because if there was, Ric Flair would be dead.
The way Christian says this stuff, he just says it like he just thought of it.
He's talking so good. I love hearing him talk.
I'm so glad they put a belt on him.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this next part of the show?
Elite versus the
The,
Hardys and
the
brother.
ROH World Six-Man Tag Team Championship.
What in the fuck are they doing with these ROH titles?
Here we got Hangman and the Bucks, Hardy Boys and Brothers A. And I was like, it was just a clusterfuck. The Bucks won.
Big surprise.
Yeah. Post match. Prince Nana appears on the Tron at Adam Page's house. This was creepy. Forrest Strickland in Hangman's house, supposedly, looking in the baby crib. That was really creepy. I don't know where they're going to. Well, you see, in the real world, you do like something. Well, then you have the person arrested for breaking and entering.
But this is wrestling, so they're gonna have a match.
That's right,
Potentially in Adam Page's living room.
I mean, you resolve this by having a wrestling match in the wrestling world. In the real world,
You call the fucking cops.
You're either going to call the cops or you're going to go over there and you're going to shoot the son of a bitch. And said he came into my house and he threatened my children, so therefore I've got a right to shoot him. I'm standing my ground. Or you could just have a wrestling match, but it's amazing.
You know what? Let's have a Adam Page's living room match where they fight in his living room. I'm sure his wife will love that.
Well, back in the day, they used to have apartment wrestling, with the, all the females in their lingerie.
I'm sure his wife would love that.
Oh, yeah.
She'd just be like, get out, all of you. Please. Right. Get out of my house.
Okay, there we go.
So we had Renee Paquette backstage.
Right.
With Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland's appearances on this show have gone down dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
He was all over this show for about 2 weeks.
Right.
And now he's just kind of...
And he's still saying he's not going to fight Christian. They're going to have to persuade him somehow. Oh, yeah. That's the interesting thing, too. He referred at this point, he's upset with Sting is upset with Edge or with Adam Copeland. And he says, you need to open up your eyes. He says, I went down the wrong road with Lex Luger. And then earlier, when Ric Flair came out, he had talked about how Darby Allin was his favorite tag team partner. You thought I was going to say somebody else, but it's Darby Allin. And I just wondered, does he got some kind of personal heat with Lex Luger?
Why are we shooting on Lex?
Yeah, because Lex isn't even around. He's retired. He can't even wrestle anymore.
The guy can't walk.
Two times, he really went after Lex Luger. I thought, I wonder if there's personal heat there.
Lex can't even fucking walk, dude. Calm down.
Right.
What does he have again? He's got...
I know he's got MS or something like that, does he not?
I believe it is MS, but I'm not sure. Oh, a spinal infarction.
Okay. That's not good either.
No.
I just thought it was interesting. I hadn't even thought about Luger in a while, but he mentioned him a couple times there, directly and indirectly.
And he is completely wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
Sting, quit shooting on Lex. The dude's in a fucking wheelchair.
Right.
Fuck. God damn.
I'll tell you, man. But then we did get a not too bad of a pretty good women's AEW Women's World Championship match. I thought it was pretty good. Not that long. Hikaru Shida beating Ruby Soho.
This match was okay.
Yeah.
Shida retains the women's title. And then we get a fucking shit show. Uh, because some shit happened here.
Uh-huh.
Danielson and Castagnoli against Cassidy and Okada. Good to see Okada
God,
back on AEW TV. Um, Brian and Castagnoli won, but the news coming out of this was a orbital bone break for Brian Danielson, and he's back on the shelf and is out for the year.
Wade was holding his head at the end there. I thought that looks like an orbital socket injury.
Yep, it is a
Yeah,
break. It is a full break, and he needs surgery, and he's out for the year. So, for the rest of the year. So,
and he was planning on retiring in the spring.
later.
Yeah, that's
But
gonna have to.
he was already planning on retiring later than that, like later than the spring. It was going to be like the fall, but I would assume now
We'll
it'll be
just have to see.
2025.
That's a
Uh
hell of a break, man.
that orbital bone break. I've heard I don't know anything about the orbital bone and what happens when it breaks, but I've heard it is painful.
I remember when Undertaker had that injury, and for a while when he came back, he wore a mask for a brief period.
Well, I
Same with
guess and everybody was complaining it's like why is he going to be out for the rest of the year? It's like
that's a damn. I mean, that's right up next to your damn brain.
yeah. And
You
with
got
his
bones
concussion
breaking off
stuff,
around your brain. That could be pretty damn dangerous.
don't rush him back.
That was basically the end of the show with him going on the shelf, and
Well, we get the SmackDown show that I actually thought was a fun show this week.
it was.
This show kicked off with Roman Reigns coming out. He comes out, and during his entrance, when he's got the title held high above his head, LA Knight's music hits, and he cuts him off so quick.
That was funny. The look on his face and Paul Heyman's face, like they couldn't believe anybody would have the audacity to do that.
Roman just kind of looked like this fucking guy.
Yep. Then he's like, "Come on, let's get this contract signed and done. Let's go."
LA Knight's like, this isn't Raw where we can take 3 hours to do everything. We got 2 hours here. Come on, let's go.
Right. It was
And
very interesting. Yeah.
well,
Well,
and then
okay, and then of course the contract signing ended up with him brawling with him and Jimmy, who
I
was
thought LA
also
Knight
there.
in this segment was fucking brilliant.
Yep.
I and Roman was so good. He's like, have you ever even had a title match?
Uh-huh.
Do you even know how this works? Do you even know what this is?
Mm-hmm.
And then they made a suffering succotash reference, which I thought was just
That was great. That brings back memories. Yeah, they'll probably put that on that guy's gravestone, you know?
poor bastard will never outlive
Yeah.
it. Uh he'll never outlive it. I mean, suffering succotash will not die. Do
Well,
you
it
think
wasn't a bad opening segment for a contract signing, and like I said, not being raw, it moved along a lot quicker.
when Roman Reigns goes into the Hall of Fame and they do like that Hall of Fame video package, do you think they put suffering succotash in the video package?
I don't know. I don't know. I suppose they could, but probably not.
Should they put suffering succotash in the video package?
I would just for fun.
I mean, you would just because you're an asshole, and so would
Right.
I.
That would be the new Roman Reigns t-shirt. Suffering succotash.
Suffering succotash. I've had the title for way too goddamn long.
Right. Well, it's
Well, that was that. And that would set up a thing
right.
later as Jay went through, or not Jay, Jimmy went through a table.
Yeah.
Then we had the Street Profits against the team of Carlito and Santos Escobar.
Right. And the Street Profits won. with some interference from our
By the
good
way,
friend Logan Paul.
Rey Mysterio was supposed to be in this match, and they swapped him out for Carlito.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's because they wanted the Profits to win.
could be. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, Angelo and Montez Ford, I guess they're starting to gel a little bit as a heel team.
Yeah.
You know, as far if they're supposed to be a heel team, the contrast isn't that sharp. You know what I mean? The main thing is
Lashley
they
helps.
they don't play up to the fans as much, you know.
Bobby Lashley helps.
Yes, he does.
Roman Reigns is backstage. And this was a plug for their NFL titles, but it was also very funny.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
I know it was supposed to be a plug, but Heyman is just so
Yeah.
good.
By
So
the way, I checked out the Vikings belt, you know, and at first they sold out, and apparently now they've got another batch because it's back for sale now, but it costs $550. I'm not going to spend $550 on a wrestling belt.
You got me fucked up if you think I'm even going to spend half of that.
Yeah,
Like, holy man.
especially for a Vikings belt, right? Like I said, my wife's a huge Vikings
Kirk
fan,
Cousins
and I am because
tore
of
his
her.
Achilles in half yesterday. The season is over for us.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. The last 4 weeks were sure nice, you know, but it's over. All right.
I'll tell you what, the last few weeks, us winning, us beating San Francisco, oh, it was great.
Yeah.
And then yesterday happened, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's over. It's just, oh, we beat the Packers. That's it. Season's over. We're gonna go 4-13.
Yeah.
I wonder if we traded for a quarterback. Anyway,
And we got spooky looking Shotzi.
spooky looking Shotzi talking about hosting NXT or whatever.
And she defeated Chelsea Green, which I thought was it. That was a pretty short match, too, if I remember right.
Yeah, they need to quit having Chelsea lose.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Like, I'm not saying they need to put the title or anything on her.
I think her and Piper, that wouldn't be a bad tag team title. That'd be all right. Anyway, I've come to appreciate her more as a wrestler.
I mean, she's just great.
And when she looks so cute in her entrance when she's got on that cap and that train and everything. She just looks so darn cute.
What wasn't so cute was this stupid John Cena segment.
Oh yeah, good old Paul Heyman setting up John.
By the way, every time Paul Heyman and John Cena are in a ring together, it's fucking magic.
Yeah.
Because both of these guys are so
good talkers
on the mic.
They're very, very good.
And Cena, for all his faults in the ring now, this guy can talk for 100 years.
And he's got to win. He's just got to win. He has to win.
And he makes you believe.
Paul Heyman takes out the match that you have to win. You cannot win. That was a great segment.
By the way, Cena says this stuff, but he makes you believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very believable.
What have you thought of Cena's run? It's been significantly longer than I think we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I do too. I was not a John Cena fan when he first came on the scene. He won my respect by his performance in the ring. I really came to respect him as an athlete and a performer. You know, I was never a huge John Cena mark, but I really, you know, respected
that
him a lot.
CM Punk match at Money in the Bank 2011, I think, changed a lot of people's perspective on him.
That was a good, really good match.
Um, because I think a
I
lot of
think for
people,
some fans, when CM Punk after the fact said, "But that was a really good match," like some so-called smart fans, then they felt like, "Oh, well, if he'll say something nice about John Cena, then it must be safe to compliment Cena now."
Punk has always been complimentary of Cena, and
Yeah.
vice versa, By the way, Cena has never, and I don't think would ever say anything bad about Phil publicly, but
I have none that I know of. But anyway, Heyman was setting him up here for a sneak attack from Solo Sikoa, and that's going to be the match at Crown Jewel. Is Solo versus Cena.
I don't think Cena's last match is going to be in Saudi Arabia.
I hope not.
So I think he's going to win.
No.
Could be a DQ.
Yes.
But this is clearly all setting up for AJ Styles to come back and feud with
Yeah.
Roman.
I think you're right there.
Because if you remember the original plan, apparently for the rumor for Crown Jewel was Cena versus Roman again. And both me and you looked at each other and said, I fucking hope not.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if it was just never the plan or what, but they switched to LA Knight and it's been better. But I still think AJ and Roman at Survivor Series is kind of where they need to go. Unless they're going to do Raw versus, this would be the year they could do Raw versus SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Because Roman versus Seth, champion versus champion, non-title. Dude, Roman and Seth, I don't care what you want to say about Roman. Something about when Roman and Seth wrestle, it's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Those two don't have bad matches together.
Right. All right. Next up, though, we had somebody that I have not seen on TV in a while.
Yeah, Dragon Lee.
Cedric Alexander and Dragon Lee. And I tell you, Cedric Alexander has been one that I've really, really liked for years. I first
I
started
like
watching
both of these guys a lot.
Ring of Honor. Yeah, I first seen him back in Ring of Honor was the CNC Wrestle Factory or whatever they called it. Caprice Coleman and him had a tag team in Ring of Honor that I thought was really good. Yeah, this was a pretty good match. I don't know as much about Dragon Lee. He won the match, but I thought Cedric Alexander looked really, really good here. I think he's underused. I think he's one of their best guys.
Dragon Lee is great, so is Cedric. I think if they were to bring back the cruiserweight division, because I think you could do it now.
Oh yeah.
And put it on SmackDown. Like keep it to SmackDown. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but since Triple H got the reins back, these brands are very much going to their own little corners. And the free agent thing, I know some people don't like that, but like they kind of have to have that for certain guys. Like Logan Paul, you can't have him on a brand just because he's not there all the time. Part-time guys don't need a brand.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I'm not sure if because the way it's been going, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure at some point Logan's gonna be a full-time guy. He's just not right now.
Right.
And then poor Bianca Belair.
He's back. Yes,
she has no momentum whatsoever. And this crowd does not care. Like, at all.
She's going to be challenging Io Sky at Crown Jewel.
For some reason.
And that just seems kind of like out of nowhere, too.
Okay, it's her rematch. She does have the rematch clause, so I guess I get it.
Right.
But, like,
I don't think she's gonna win.
She's not over anymore, dude.
Yeah.
She's lost all momentum.
Maybe she ought to turn heel.
I thought she was going to, but
Yeah. Not yet.
and she's gonna face Bailey next week as well. And what I'm assuming
Oh,
will
that'll
just
be on SmackDown this week.
and what I'm assuming will be a tune-up match for her.
Right. Exactly.
We had the main event of the show, which was LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso.
Yes. And it was pretty good. And I was surprised that LA Knight won. Glad to see him win.
Well, LA Knight gets the win, and they go off the air with a brawl. Big surprise.
Exactly. Leading right into next week's brawl.
And then we go to Collision.
Right.
I don't like Collision anyway. I just don't I don't mesh with Collision very well. Maybe it's because they insist on it being on Saturday.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I wanted to watch game 2 of the World Series instead.
Yeah. Well, maybe, yeah. Maybe it's just not the right night of the week. Saturday night is not a good night for ratings for most shows.
It is all right for fighting.
Yeah. Let's see. We're gonna
Well, this show kicked off with, and by the way, I did not see a good portion of this show because my feed was in and out here and my DVR didn't work and the TNT app fucked up. So I didn't see a good portion of this, but I will go through
right.
what I can here. I saw bits and bobs of every match.
Well, we started off with Jay White with Bullet Club Gold versus AR Fox, who's back. You know, AR
Yes.
Fox, interesting. He's like 1 week he's a heel, the next week he's a baby face,
And he
then
doesn't win no matter what. I
then
mean,
he disappears for a month. So
this guy can't win on TV to save his
no,
hide. And
not surprising that Jay White won. It's exactly what you'd expect. And MJF tried to grab his belt, but he couldn't quite get it out of the right away.
yeah, I thought that was silly. At the Acclaim backstage.
Dalton Castle comes out with the boys.
No,
Gun
before
Club,
that,
Gun Club stayed in the ring after the match. And then after the break, then we got the boys. Dalton Castle brings out the boys. And I thought this was interesting. You look down at the ring, the Guns are in the ring, but Jay White and Juice Robinson are still hanging around ringside. So Dalton Castle comes out with the boys, who are much smaller than the Guns, and lets them go there. He just turns around and walks out like, hey, you're on your own. I ain't gonna have your back.
thought that was weird. And
I thought that was very weird too. It's
you know,
like
it's funny.
leading them to the slaughter.
Dalton Castle is like a supremely talented wrestler, and they just don't use him.
Right.
Hang on.
Right. They don't use him very much at all. But after that, once again we had a little promo teasing the return of Danhausen,
Couldn't care less.
but haven't seen him yet.
Fixing my headphone cord here.
Your chair falling apart.
No, my headphone. I ran over my headphone cord.
Oh, okay.
It's too long. Anyway, goofiness aside, they just don't use Danhausen, or not Danhausen, Dalton Castle for some odd reason, even though I think he's great. Then we had this stupid fucking match for the AEW Women's World Title, Shida versus Abaddon. I didn't see most of this.
That was all right. Abaddon, it was a Halloween Havoc type thing. You know, she ended up putting the pumpkin on her head and kicking the pumpkin and, all kinds of good goofy. For some reason, this was supposed to mimic a hardcore match or something, but Abaddon dumps a bucket out on the ring and it's Halloween candy. And then she slams her opponent on the candy. I'm like, what the hell?
I hated this match.
Yeah.
No buys. Anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
We had Samoa Joe versus Rhett Titus.
Boy, is the crowd really into Joe. He's over. He's really over.
They should have put the title on him.
Didn't stand a chance.
They should have put the world title on him when they had the chance.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
They should have had him win that belt in New York.
That's right. And Rhett Titus, I haven't seen him since Ring of Honor a long time ago. I guess he's been around, but I just haven't seen him. But it was a good match, and Joe pretty much dominated. Yeah, it was all right. Winner is still Ring of Honor World TV Champion Samoa Joe. And then we find out good old QTV's back, and both you and me don't give a flying fuck.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
We get the injury update from Claudio about Brian. Man, was Claudio pissed about this.
Broken orbital bone. Either due to the orange punch or the Rainmaker, it says.
Well, Claudio, I think, said that just to give himself an excuse to beat everybody's ass.
Right. Exactly.
And he's more than
as if he needed more motivation to beat people's asses.
The guy's just angry anyway.
Yeah.
Criminally underused is Claudio Castagnoli on this show.
Yeah.
We had Ricky Starks against Dax Harwood.
Good match. As usual, though, Dax can't win a singles match. So Ricky Starks won.
Starks just, I don't know. I mean, Starks needed to win here, but.
Yeah.
And then my feed cuts out for a prolonged period of time here.
Well, there was some House of Black nonsense going on with the lights turning off, the lights turning on, and
are they turning Sky Blue heel or what the hell's going on here?
It looks like it, but they're doing it in the stupidest way possible.
I still say bring Madison Rayne back and do it that way because
apparently this mess somehow brainwashes people and turns them evil or some shit,
And for everybody who's going to say, oh, Madison Rayne coming back wouldn't help their ratings. No, but it would sure as hell help their creative.
Well, here's another thing that didn't make sense to me. Well, after the match, though, they had the House of Black hit the ring, joining Big Bill and Starks against FTR. And then here comes Rush and Preston Vance and Dralistico coming down there to brawl with the House of Black. And yeah, it just seemed like kind of randomly put together. I didn't know of any storyline or angle.
Andrade and Malachi is the only thing there, but
yeah, but that seems like that was a long time ago.
They're not done with that.
Well, I thought they were, but I guess not.
We had Claudio Castagnoli against. Did they say this guy's name?
Tracy Williams.
Oh, you caught it. Okay.
Never heard of the gentleman, and he did what he was supposed to do. He got beat and got paid.
Got beat, got his paycheck, got his hot dog, and left.
That's right. He got stretched pretty good, too, with that crossface. All right.
And then
what do you got to say about our main event here? Other than that, it was on the wrong show.
They could have done Jay and MJF and Jay White on a Dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
Now, would I have been pissed? Yes. But here's the thing, and here's why I think they're doing it this way. Because I think Tony's seriously considering switching the belt at the pay-per-view. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know that, and I haven't heard anything.
Mm-hmm.
But my assumption is then the only reason they did this is because they wanted MJF to have the longest title reign in the history of the company. He now does. He beats Kenny here in a very good match of what I saw of it. I need to go back and rewatch it. But
Yeah, it was
um
pretty good.
but my assumption is they wanted him to break the record. He has done that now.
Right.
And now they need him to get pinned. And Jay White is red fucking hot. And he kind of makes sense to beat him. With the Adam Cole injury, and I still firmly
Right.
believe that before he got hurt, Adam Cole was probably the plan.
Right.
But Adam got hurt, broke his ankle or whatever on that stage dive thing that he did where he jumped off that
Right.
ramp at Grand Slam. I hope they never do that again. That
No.
elevated ramp thing. Uh, that stupid gimmick that has gotten more people injured in the last 3 years than I'd bother to talk about. Uh, I won't be surprised, let me put it that way, if Jay White pins MJF clean in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, that'd be
I, I
interesting.
I don't think they should, by the way. I think MJF should keep the title, but I don't see any other reason that you don't do MJF and Kenny at the pay-per-view.
Would make sense, wouldn't it?
Or do a three-way. Like, uh, really, Kenny hasn't won in how many months? Why is he getting a world title match?
Valid point.
I get he's one of your biggest stars, and he
Right.
is. And it kind of doesn't matter. And his record, to a greater extent, does not matter because he will always be one of the most over guys of the company. But I don't get why you needed this match on this show that outside of this was not great on a show that is not great anyway.
Good point.
And I get it. You know, you're going head to head with game 2 of the World Series. You're going to have a hard time. You got college football. Just wait until the NFL's on Saturday around the holidays. You're going to be really fucked, dude.
Oh, I know.
Because there's a couple Saturdays this year where the NFL is on at the same time as Collision. And I'm like, oh, okay. You're in trouble. But that was that. That is Collision, and that's wrestling for the week. But
Yeah, Senator. I remember years ago, interview. I think it was David Lynch, the TV series. He said when they moved Twin Peaks second season, they moved it to Saturday night at 9 p.m. And he says, I knew it was going to get canceled. I mean, that's where you put a show to die. Because there's not too many people at home Saturday night at 9 p.m. If you're at home Saturday night at 9 p.m., you're probably getting ready to go to bed.
or you're like me and
Or you're like just getting done watching Collision.
don't remind me.
Yeah.
Hey Russ,
Yes, sir.
you know, I'm fairly convinced people could offer me money to like watch Collision live, and I don't think I'd do it most of the time. Because like it's not even that I'm doing stuff on Saturdays. It's that I forget there's wrestling on. So I don't watch the show live anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I did this week by pure luck and circumstance, honestly. Like, I had no intention of watching this show as little as 30 minutes before it started. But I flipped it on my phone because I had it on my phone. I was watching it on my phone because I had Game 2 of the World Series on my TV. And if you really think I'm putting Collision on my TV when Game 2 of the World Series is on, go fuck yourself.
Right.
And I'm going to watch Raw on Hulu this week because I do every week because, God damn it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching 3 hours of fucking Monday Night Raw.
I
Fuck
hear
you.
you. Exactly.
Fuck you. I'm not
That
doing that.
Hulu option is nice. It's just edited down a little.
And you don't miss anything, really.
No, you don't miss anything important.
No. I just, I don't know. Russ, because the day we're recording this is the day before Halloween, and it will probably be going up on Halloween. Let's talk
Right?
about let's talk a little bit about how awful Halloween themed wrestling is because I fucking hate it.
Halloween Havoc.
Every time they do these spooky themed matches,
They're
I
not
just
spooky.
rip my hair out. I get a little bit more gray in the hair.
They're using the Halloween Havoc title in NXT. And so last Tuesday night, not only did you have mostly women's matches, but they all had on a Halloween costume. Every single one of them wasn't wearing their usual gear. They had to wear a costume. And I think most wrestlers, their gear itself would qualify as a costume, you know?
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
They could dress as themselves for their costume.
But you know, well, at this time of year, you always know you're gonna see jack o' lanterns getting busted over people's heads
I think that
and
part's
all
funny.
sorts of crazy, silly, goofy stuff.
I don't mind the busting pumpkins over people's heads. I think that bit's funny, but uh, what year was it? You probably remember this better than I do, but there was a year where it was a Raw and it was like either the day of Halloween or the day before that year. Or maybe it was like the day after even. But like somebody broke a pumpkin on Kane's head.
Not
I don't know if you remember that.
right offhand, no.
Maybe it wasn't even Kane. Maybe I'm remembering this whole segment wrong, but
Well, my most infamous memory, you've probably seen this. If you haven't, you got to check it out. There was a WCW Halloween Havoc back in the 90s. I forget exactly what year. Might have been 96, where they had a cage and they had an electric chair. This was like the electric chair of death, and it had Abdullah the Butcher, Mick Foley, uh, Scott Hall was there, and it was still the Diamond Stud. This was before Razor Ramon. So yeah, it would have been before 86 then. It would have been like 84 maybe. And at the end of it, they sit down Abdullah the Butcher in the electric chair and they put the thing on his head, and then he's supposed to be electrocuted, right? It was fucking horrible. It was have you seen that?
no.
Oh man, it's bad.
What the fuck is this?
It's
Hang
really
on.
bad.
WCW
Halloween
Electric
Havoc. Yeah, I forget what year was it, like the
Halloween Havoc 1991.
91. All right,
Yeah. Hang on. Let me see who's in this. So it's called the Chamber of Horrors match.
that's it.
It
91
was
is earlier than I thought.
it was Sting, uh Giant Gonzalez,
Oh, Giant Gonzalez. Oh man,
the
Steiner
Steiner
brothers.
the Steiner brothers, against Abdullah the Butcher, the Diamond Stud, Cactus Jack, and Big Van Vader.
Right.
Oh my god, that sounds like the shits.
Yeah. Oh, it was. It was really horrible.
Also on this show, Lex Luger retained the title over Ron Simmons for the WCW World title. That should tell
Right.
you exactly just how awful Halloween Havoc 1991 was.
Yep.
God damn it.
This is when Lex Luger was being managed by Harley Race.
I forgot that happened.
And Lex Luger defeated Ron Simmons at that show. And let's see. Well, Bill Kazmaier defeated Oz. You know who Oz was?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Nash.
By the
Actually,
way,
Bobby Eaton defeated Terry Taylor. That might have been actually been a good wrestling match.
that might have actually been a wrestling match.
And it
Anyway,
might have been the only wrestling match that broke out in the midst of all the nonsense.
oh, I went to a carnival and a wrestling match broke out is probably what everybody said about that show.
That's right. Well, and then El Gigante, Giant Gonzalez, he was
That poor
probably
bastard.
the most immobile giant I've ever seen in my life. He didn't hardly do anything.
He couldn't. I almost feel bad for him.
Oh, most of the interviews, nobody has a bad word to say about this. He was one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to work with, but at the same time, he had absolutely no talent for wrestling.
I think he liked the business a lot, though. I think he loved the business. He just couldn't.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's wrap this up here. Russ, good to see you again, brother. I will see
Yes.
you. We will see you Saturday.
Yes.
For
After Crown Royal, or shall we wait until after Collision?
Well, Russ, do you really want to record a show at 10 o'clock at night?
I'd rather just right after Crown Royal, we could do a show, wrap up the week in the pay-per-view, and then just put Collision onto the next week's agenda.
I like how Crown Jewel is now Crown Royal. I like that better.
Crown Royal, yeah, Royal Crown, yeah. Maybe we'll have to drink some Crown Royal.
I've got an unopened bottle sitting right over there. Believe me, the
Oh, that's
temptation
good
is there.
stuff.
I like the Crown Royal apple. It's good
Sure.
stuff. Anyway, everybody have a great rest of your
They've
week.
got a Crown Royal caramel and apple. If you mix them together, you got a caramel apple.
There you go. Everybody
And
go
your
check out
whiskey.
NFL. They're doing great stuff over there. Puck U is back. Everybody, we will be right back here next week. No more hiatuses. No more disappearing and going
Right.
away. We're back. Damon, play my fucking music. Russ, let's get the fuck out of here.
Bye.